The majority of interviews in sports are white noise. We all walk on after a brief coach speech and a few courteous sound bites. However, the entire fan community occasionally erupts when someone says something that really gets to them. That's just what the Indiana Fever recently experienced. The Fever supporters lost it after the team president said one sentence. It was a tale that went global. The comment sections went crazy. The president of the Fever removed her former account due to the significant response. This is the part, though, that nobody anticipated. The most significant thing she stated was not even mentioned in the video that began it all. The true story that was concealed in the press conference is actually far worse if you're a Fever supporter. The excitement surrounding 2025 was incredible for Fever supporters. New coach, new leadership, and what many referred to as the greatest free agency haul in years. The Now You Know initiative. It wasn't nuanced. The WNBA as a whole was informed. This is our league now. Yes, indeed. They also have the most talked about athlete in women's sports, Caitlin Clark. Rested, rejuvenated, and apparently prepared to assume control. Anticipations from the roof. It was more than just a rebuild. It was championship or bust, win now. And they got off to a spectacular start, tearing up the home court sky. It appeared as though everything was coming together. Then reality set in. Due to injury, Caitlin Clark has missed almost half of the season. The veteran brought in to examine the locker room was Dana Bonner. After just 9 games, she left. It's disheartening that the product on the court doesn't even come close to addressing it. On certain nights, they appear to be unstoppable, defeating competitors such as the Aces, Dream, Lynx, and Liberty. They lose twice against the Sparks on other evenings. Additionally, the plan has been obvious while Caitlin is on the floor. Play her off the ball, which is, incidentally, the exact opposite of her preferred environment. She repeated something to herself several times. Let's review. A title run is what you promised. You brought in the veterinarians. You brought on a new coach. And you're taking the ball away from your stars while hardly playing 500 basketballs halfway through the season. Fans are furious, yes. Furthermore, the coach isn't the only one they blame. They are observing the GM, the front office, and Kelly Krasko, the president of the Fever, who is the mastermind behind it all. There is a lot of hope when Kelly, who had served as assistant general manager for the Pacers for 6 years, was appointed president of the Fever in 2024. Fans had been clamoring for this season leader, someone who could truly get it right while building around Caitlin Clark. Now, however, that hope has vanished midway through a rocky season. Then this clip appeared, and things blew up.
Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and, we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country and, a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something.
The outcry was instantaneous and focused on a single issue. Caitlin Clark is the Indiana Fever, not simply one of their members. To be honest, fans weren't mistaken. The franchise value of the Fever has skyrocketed up $273% since Caitlin joined the league. They are now the third most valued team in the WNBA with a $335 million valuation. Indiana had little more than 4,000 spectators per home game on average in 2023. That number increased by 318% to over 17,000 during the previous season. Furthermore, it doesn't end there. ESPN's viewership increased by 170% during the previous season. However, Caitlin's games carried it rather than merely contributing. 45% of the league's total broadcast value consisted of her matches. Only when Caitlin was visiting the city did teams shift their games to NBA arenas. Ticket costs surged, merchandise proliferated, and the value of every club in the league doubled or increased. The WNBA is currently valued at $3.5 billion. Fans are not exaggerating when they claim that Caitlin Clark is the brand. She is the driving force behind the entire league, not simply the focal point of the Fever. Therefore, if Kelly Krasko claims to be creating the WNBA's equivalent of Apple, then Caitlin Clark is more than just the iPad. She is also the iPhone, MacBook Pro, and AirPods. The whole product line is her. You don't keep that product buried in the break room if you want it to succeed. You give her the reins and let her to create, which is her strongest suit. However, that hasn't been the case this season. Despite Caitlyn's repeated statements that she performs best while planning the offense, head coach Stephanie White has designed a motion-heavy scheme that keeps her off the ball. There is more to the mismatch than just strategy. It has been frustrating for spectators because, in addition to abusing a generational playmaker, you are also diluting the product when you ask her to wait for non-generational players to perform the hard work. The Heat looks like a team that doesn't know what they have, the offense stagnates, and the games are dull. Kelly's remarks may have been the end of this matter if Caitlyn had been given the opportunity to flourish. However, Kelly's remarks came as a crushing blow to the team, which was failing to find its identity, lingering around 500 and clearly limiting its brightest star. Since the media, rival players, and even some league officials have been questioning Caitlyn's celebrity for more than a year, saying that she is overhyped, that she hasn't earned it, and that the league's success isn't due to her. Therefore, it felt like just another leader trying to minimize Caitlin Clark's importance when the Fever president suggested that the team is larger than her. And there was an immediate pushback. It was picked up by Fox News, Yahoo, the Daily Mail, and the New York Post. The most bizarre aspect, however, is the one that nobody appeared to notice. This news conference wasn't recently held. This was from a previous week. Even this season, wasn't it? The fact that it was from 2024 somehow exacerbates the situation. I therefore watched the entire press conference. You're welcome. And to be honest, Kelly said a lot of things that sounded really fantastic considering the period and the momentum the franchise was in at the time. Supporters had optimism. It was a powerful vibe. Additionally, the Fever received a resoundingly good response on their own YouTube page. In more than 950 comments, individuals praised her as being knowledgeable, professional, and sharp, and they believed she was the ideal team leader. Nobody objected to what she said at the time. However, after witnessing the real events, that same news conference has a very different impact. Because there was one statement that is far more illuminating than the Apple parallel hidden in the midst of all the corporate confidence. In all honesty, it should leave every Fever supporter perplexed.
I see so many similarities in Caitlyn and Tyrese, primarily because they control the tempo of the game. And we want to play almost identical to the way the Pacers are playing, or maybe they want to play like we're playing. But either way, it's, finding those right fits around a point guard like her is going to make us awfully dangerous.
Fans were eager to hear exactly what Kelly had to say. With the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands, the attack moves quickly, setting the tone and providing opportunities for others. Caitlin Clark plays basketball there. She also emphasized how appealing Caitlin's style of play is to free agents, simply to clear up any misunderstandings.
I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her. She, much like Tyrese Halliburton, she gets you the ball in places that you didn't even know you were open.
Thus, the obvious question that arises from all of this is, what happened? We haven't been seeing a quick-moving, free-flowing offense centered around Caitlin Clark because that's what supporters were sold. Not even close. Fans and commentators are going crazy over it.
How much grace are we going to give to a coach because the coach says, we're working things out for the rest of the season. We're trying to figure out our identity. Do you want to know what your identity is? You shouldn't need to figure out your identity. You have Caitlin effing Clark on your team.
Furthermore, it goes beyond the play style. It's the staff. Because, keep in mind, Helly promised more than simply a system that featured Caitlin. She claimed that by drawing the proper players to build around her skill set, players would want to come play with her. Let's examine who they did bring in, though. The seasoned veteran Dana Bonner, who was supposed to provide consistency, left after 9 games allegedly due to fit concerns. Although Natasha Howard hasn't been particularly bad, it appears that she finds it difficult to adapt to Caitlin's style of play. And why is she dragging the ball upstairs while ignoring Caitlin? You have to wonder what kind of part she was promised when she stated that she wanted to be MVP after viewing this clip again.
At the end of the day, the way Indiana came at me with everything they promised me and they keeping their promise, they sold me.
The league as a whole is apparently interested in free agents with all the leverage in the world, and this is where things start to get murky. Players that don't fit the system or Caitlin were brought in by the president and general manager, Amber Cox. What, then, was the real strategy here? What was the pitch? What sort of basketball did they offer the players? Why do we not have Caitlin Clark's basketball? That query brings up the coach, Stephanie White, who many Fever supporters believe to be the most troubling aspect of the situation. Because you would assume the coach you select would embody the president's vision if he said, "We're building around Caitlin." Someone who would use all of their abilities and create a system that works perfectly for her. I watched Stephanie White's first news conference again, and I must say that followers of the Fever will feel deceived once more.